The Jordan vs. LeBron debate is a conversation that will go on to the end of time. And you can debate stats, the eye test, longevity versus peak, and look at the accolades all day long. But when talking about these two players, there are some things you simply can't measure. And when it comes to LeBron James, as of late, he's been a big advocate for himself being the greatest player in NBA history. And being a fan of basketball who loves the NBA and appreciates every era, I find comments like these extremely off-putting. And looking back at 2018, that was the first time LeBron James ever said he was the greatest player in NBA history. And now, 5 years later, after passing Kareem in scoring, once again he's declaring he's the best player of all time. And there is a pretty famous quote from back in the day from one Tywin Lannister that said the following: "Any man who must say, 'I am the king,' is no true king." That right there applies to LeBron James tenfold. As when it comes to every NBA legend, they have never ever declared themselves the greatest of all time. From Russell, Wilt, to Kareem, Magic, and Jordan, none of those players ever said they're the best or greatest player in NBA history. And for Jordan, he had the perfect response to being called the greatest player of all time in 2011.
I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, all the guys that prior to me I never had a chance to play against. What everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me. When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows.
That clip right there from Jordan perfectly sums up how a player should approach being called the GOAT. And once again, self-proclaiming yourself as the greatest is totally disrespectful, cocky, and arrogant. As even Isaiah Thomas, one of the biggest Jordan haters, had to acknowledge doing this was simply out of bounds. And looking back at Jordan, even at his apex when he was trash-talking everyone, running through the playoffs, averaging 35 points, and three-peating, not once did he call himself the greatest player of all time. And after 93, where he three-peated, what he cared about was the team and not individual accolades. Something for LeBron James that I can't always say.
Personally, individual goal was that Magic, Bird, Isaiah never did this. So that meant a lot to me to do it for the third time, yes. I won't say that I'm better than those people, but I think in terms of success, continuous and consistently, that puts me right up there with them, if not, a step above them. So I'm not here campaigning for the best player in the world or in the history. I'm not saying that, because everybody plays differently in different eras. But to say that we won 3 in a row and I was a part of that team, that means a lot.
And once again, looking at LeBron James, after breaking Kareem's record versus OKC in a primetime loss, the following game, he sat out. I was very surprised he was not playing the next game, despite having a speech pre-game congratulating himself. And the following 2 games, sat out versus the Warriors, as was Portland, but simultaneously had a party at his house with 2 GOATs and attended the Super Bowl in Arizona. Again, I ask, what is more important, stats or winning? The Lakers at the trade deadline made some big-time moves getting rid of Russell Westbrook, and for their roster, they need to build chemistry fast to make a playoff push. As right now, with under 30 games left, they're sitting the 13th seed in the basement of the Western Conference. And for LeBron James, who was so adamant the Lakers had to make a move at the deadline, he is now sitting out games and not playing leading up to the All-Star break. And what makes it even worse, after missing the playoffs last year, LeBron James, he vowed to never miss them again while being in LA. And let's be real for 1 second, when it comes to LeBron, if he didn't break the record versus OKC, he would have been playing versus Milwaukee and not sitting. Once again proving, stats for LeBron James are more important than winning games, as well as championships. And one thing I do want to emphasize heavily is the we versus me mentality. As for Jordan, he had a very famous quote saying, "The only thing that matters is the games you win and the rings you collect." Compared to LeBron James, when he's called himself the GOAT, does not have a lot of we's or teams in his sentences. Most likely, it's I can do this, I can do that, I did something that's never been done before. I, me. That is the fundamental difference between Jordan, as was LeBron James, how they approach the game, and talk about NBA history. And speaking of winning games, I think that mentality largely is why Jordan had more team success. As in 1990 with Phil Jackson, he bought in to a team system that put the ball in everyone's hands equally. And for Jordan's own stats, they went from averaging 37, 35 points down to 32 and even 30. But during that time period, Jordan bought into a team system and made his teammates better. And for someone like Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan quite literally built him up into the best wingman in NBA history. And looking at LeBron James, out of his 20-year career, 16 seasons he's played in LeBron James' system, which means LeBron James has the ball, dictates the offense, and his supporting cast has to react to what he does. Playing basketball that way, not in a team system concept, is much harder on their role players, because when they're playing with LeBron James, they have to react on the fly to him and his own decisions. And for LeBron James, out of his 20-year career, the only time he bought into a team system was down in Miami. And when he did that, in his first year, he wanted Eric Spoelstra fired. But Pat Riley, being the great coach he was, nixed that immediately. And ironically enough, LeBron James won back-to-back championships with the Heat, the only time he's ever won back-to-back titles. Now, the last thing I do want to address is the all-time points record. As on ESPN, Fox Sports, even my daily life, I've heard fans say LeBron making this record makes him the greatest player in NBA history. Now, with that established, looking at Jordan, who I would say is the GOAT, in his career, racking up stats was never his goal. And once again, winning games and championships was priority number one.
What impact does your statistical place in the NBA have on you?
Well, that never drove me. The stats only add up when you put forth the effort and you don't worry about it. Good things happen to those people that work hard. If I sit here and play for the stats, I would have never retired in '93. Or I still probably be chasing Wilt Chamberlain's all-time, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar all-time scoring lead. That doesn't drive me. Sure, it defines to some extent for people who don't know me, or 20 years from now would never know who Michael Jordan really is. But based on the stats, he must have been pretty decent. Those are only ways that I look at stats. Other than that, it's all about winning championships and winning. Stats that matter to me is the games that we win and the rings that you collect.
And I think most fans would agree Jordan, pre-LeBron James, was also the best and greatest player in NBA history. And Jordan at that point wasn't the all-time leading scorer, rebounder, assist man, or number one in steals. Michael Jordan never had been number one in a total stat category. And despite that, he was widely recognized as the greatest player in NBA history. And I think deep down, every LeBron fan knows longevity stats, while impressive, don't move the needle like championships or actual hardware and real tangible accolades. And to really nail this point home, let's do a cross-sport comparison looking at the best rushers in NFL history. On your screen right now, you see the top 10 list, where Frank Gore ranks third all-time in total rushing yards, ahead of Adrian Peterson, as well as Barry Sanders. Frank Gore being ahead of those guys in total yards does not make him the better overall player or the greater player. And someone like Emmitt Smith being first all-time doesn't make him the GOAT running back, as someone like Barry Sanders, Walter Payton were undoubtedly better than Emmitt. The exact same thing goes for basketball and LeBron James passing Kareem in all-time points. While highly impressive, that sole feat doesn't make LeBron James better or greater than Jordan. And like I've said numerous times, Michael Jordan, I feel like, was a better and greater overall player. And the way LeBron's ending his career is only solidifying that for me and tons of NBA fans. As in Los Angeles, outside of one bubble championship, we had no fans, no home court, no travel, and a 6-month break, he's been an absolute failure in Los Angeles. as in 2019 and 2022, he missed the playoffs in embarrassing fashion. And now in 2023, he once again is on pace to miss the playoffs in the basement of the Western Conference. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about in regards to Jordan and LeBron is Michael Jordan having a we mentality that puts the team first, and LeBron James having a me mentality that puts his stats first. When debating these two players and who is the quote-unquote GOAT, things like that 100% matter. And for me personally, I can never ever support a player declaring themselves the best of all time. So, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.